All right, y'all. We got something exciting to talk about.
We keep having such fun things to
There's
talk
so
about.
much good news.
We have so many projects, you guys.
And this is one that we just wrestled with, and I love where it ended up. This is a tear pad for next year.
If you don't know what a tear pad is,
true.
it literally
Explain
is
that.
just like, it goes through, it's 52 pages and you just tear them off and it's just like one new thing to look at every single week. So it's like a poster that changes every week.
So good. And it's based off the youth theme for this next year, which is Doctrine and Covenants 636. Look unto him in every thought, doubt not, fear not. And what I love, this verse is so short, but there is so much to think about with it. Number one, it says, look unto him. Well, who is he? And that's one of the biggest things that this tear pad breaks down is who he is, all the different names of Christ you can look to. And it says, look unto him. What does it mean to look? How do you do that? When do you do that? And that's another thing this jumps into. And what I love is I think the more you learn to look unto him, doubt and fear are just gonna disappear in your life. And I really think that will be the result of this tear pad, is if we let it become part of our lives, doubt and fear, not even this tear pad, this verse, if you make this verse part of your life, doubt and fear will disappear.
Well, and I don't think anything has helped me get to know Jesus better than looking for him in every moment of my entire life. And that is what thrills me about this tear pad, is I feel like it's a 52-week reminder of how to do that and where to look for him and helps you discover who he is. And that's everything to me. That's where my relationship with Jesus is founded. So it's everything. We're so excited.
So you can pre-order now, right?
Yes, and it'll ship
get there by
sometime in December.
Before Christmas, which
we
is
hope.
so fun.
I feel like it will, but what if it doesn't?
It's supposed to.
Pre-order. Yeah, I think it's supposed to. You're fine. That's that Good News brand. Website, Instagram, go there. Exciting. Welcome to This is Kingdom. This is Grace.
This is Talon.
This is TJ. This is Hollis.
And this week we're talking about Live Up to Your Privileges by President Freeman. And I'm going to let Grace go crazy in a second, but I have to say something because this talk was deep. This was one of the talks when you read it, you can tell there is deep thoughts. There has been something really, really thought through. And I was thinking, wow, what sparked these thoughts? And I found it in here. And this hit me so hard because what she says is that in 2019, our prophet made us an invitation to study Doctrine and Covenants 25. And this is what she said. She said, accepting that invitation changed my life. And it hit me so hard because I was just like, how many times do I hear an invitation and think, cool, but then not do a thing? And I just love the example from President Freeman in this of hearing the invitation and then full-heartedly doing the invitation. And it was in accepting the invitation that her life was changed. And it just made me want to, every invitation I get, especially from the prophet, take it with my full heart. So that's what I wanted to say to start.
That's
but
cool.
Grace,
Awesome.
Go crazy.
Okay, so this summer I had this like crazy, weird opportunity. And I was going to visit family in Philadelphia with my mom. And while we were going, my mom was like, listen, we are like 2 hours, maybe 3, from Emma and Joseph's house and where the priesthood was restored. And she's like, I just feel this call to go there. Like, I think we need to. Let me explain something. I was going to be at that exact home 1 week after that, okay? And I was like, Mom, we don't need to go. I'm already going. Like, this seems like a lot. Or that's a 4-hour road trip, probably more because of traffic. And it kind of seems like I'm not really, like, I was like a little hesitant. And she's like, no, please, I just really feel like we need to go. And so we went. And it was truly the hardest road trip. I almost fell asleep 18 times, and that was so scary. But we got there. And then we spent the afternoon there in Joseph and Emma's house in Harmony, Pennsylvania. And right across the way is this little,
Time to wake up.
that's my alarm to get my dinner out of the crock pot.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's gonna burn.
Anyway,
It's burning.
It's burning, and that won't be the first time. That's no problem at all. Anyways, we had... So their house is in Harmony, Pennsylvania, and right across the way it's called the Sugar Bush, but it's like this little tiny forest where the priesthood was restored. And we spent a lot of time in the home that day. And then a week later, I got to go back, which was crazy to go to that house twice in 1 week. But while I was there, I couldn't help but think of something that maybe wasn't exactly what anyone had in mind of me thinking about. I wasn't really thinking about the priesthood, and I wasn't really thinking about tons about Joseph Smith or anything, but all I could think about was 26-year-old Emma in that house. And the fact that those people, Joseph, Emma, Oliver, they were in their 20s. Like, I could not get that out of my head because I just turned 25, okay? And so I was there and I was like, that's me. That's me in 1 year. That's my friends. And then all the whole time I was in their house, all I could think about was the fact that it was like, they probably just like sat around the fire and they just like talked and chatted. And I bet they did question of the night. And I bet that they went to the river and they like had so fun in the river. And I bet, well, all of the foundation and the restoration of this church was happening, they were also just in their 20s. Like, they were us. That's just like, that's crazy to
Yeah,
me.
it's so weird to think of it that way.
No,
You know?
wild. That they were just hanging out. Like, that's just true about it. But also, they were restoring the gospel to the earth. And I started thinking about all my friends because that's our age. And I started thinking about the questions that they have and what this church and the gospel restored means to them, and how Emma was 26 years old. That's my roommates. That's me. And I wonder if while that was happening and they were doing question of the night or whatever, and they were hanging out and they were laughing, I wonder if there were days when Emma looked at what Joseph and Oliver were doing and just sat there and had to wonder, like, what about me? And what can I be doing? And there has to be something for me in this gospel because I've seen what it's doing to them. And the questions she asked, I don't think have stopped being asked by girls in their 20s and even girls younger than that and girls older than that, that look at the restored gospel of Jesus Christ and say, where's my place in this? And what can I do to help? And why am I here? And why does God need me? And what can I do to help build the kingdom? And there's something about Emma's story that speaks so tenderly and intimately to my heart because I love that God saw that girl who was looking out her window at where Joseph and Oliver were receiving the priesthood and said, I have a message for you. You wonder about your place in the kingdom. I have a place for you. I have privileges for you. I have words to speak, especially to you. And I don't think that's stopped since that moment. I don't think God has stopped saying, like, oh, my girls don't have a place in this church anymore, or my girls don't have whatever it is. I think in all reality, he said, I want to speak to you. I have words specifically intended for you and your role and your privileges. And that's what I love about Section 25 and God's words to Emma, is that they weren't to Emma when she restored and like when she founded the Relief Society and at her like peak moment or whatever. It was her when she was just having questions as a 20-year-old. And I love that my mom, that President Freeman, I don't know what to call her, that she goes through and she says that in that section, God's words were reminding Emma that she has a place in his plan, that she was his daughter, that in her moment of mourning, losing a child and struggling and hurt, and when everything seemed to be falling apart, he gave her a purpose and said, I need you to teach and I need you to build this kingdom and I need you to encourage its members. He had a specific role for her, but also in that he looked at her and he said, you have all of the potential and privileges in the world, and I will do anything I possibly can to help you receive my power in your life and live up to that potential. And that is the message that I think God has to all of his girls all of the time. And not when you're doing your very best, but when you're having questions in your 20s and you're struggling and you're wondering, he wants to speak to you.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good, Grace. And I just listening, I just feel like this is a really important topic because I believe that so full-heartedly, what you just said. And real talk, I just think there's a lot of people that maybe don't feel that. I guess my question is why? Why do you think I believe that God has a role, right? That he has a role for each of us. Why do we struggle to feel that sometimes?
I almost just want to flip this question on its head and say, I truly believe that that was probably a sacred privilege that Emma had the opportunity to ask and wonder and figure things out. And I think that her questions and Section 25, a revelation given directly to Emma, probably meant more to her than if someone walked in her life and said, this is your role,
Mm.
this is your privilege. And I get that that would be easier. That seems simpler. And I'm not trying to overlook the hurt and the hardships that we go through when we're trying to realize what a woman's role in the kingdom is. But I also think that asking those questions myself has opened me up to moments when God has spoken to me in a way that I will never, ever be able to put into words. And that is one of the greatest and most valuable moments of my life. And so, yeah, I do think the struggle is really difficult. And I think there are moments that it hurts. But I also am so thankful for the privilege God gives us to ask him questions and to wonder, and how magical and beautiful it feels like when he speaks to us.
I just hope every girl is hearing this, because when I think of someone that's powerful, and when I think of someone that's a leader, and when I think of someone that's an influence for good, Grace, I think of you. And I hope you heard what she just said. That didn't just come. That came with wondering. That came with questioning. That came with searching. That came with wrestling with God. And I think that yearning, that feeling like maybe there's something more, I think that's divine.
I can't help but think of the women in my life that feel this way. Like it's just like hit me hearing you say all this, Grace. And I just gotta ask, and I think you alluded to a lot with what you just said, but let's say you have a young woman here, or a sister, and she's wondering, and she doesn't necessarily have a section for her. I mean, I'm sure everyone can for sure try to relate Section 25 to their life, and to seek and to wonder and seek that guidance. What else could someone do to find their role, to find their purpose? What would be your advice, Grace, or any of you guys, your thoughts on someone that's in that position?
Okay, you kind of alluded to this, but I'm gonna show, like, I am not kidding you when I say that my mom said it first, but I will stand and say Section 25 has changed my life. It is some of the verses that become the most influential verses of my entire life. And I think the prophet knows that to be true. And I think that's the first place I would go, is Section 25. And what happens is he starts out and he says, I'm speaking to you, Emma. But then there's this moment that he says at the very last verse, and verily, verily, I say unto you, this is verse 16 of Section 25, the end of a revelation to Emma. I say unto you that this is my voice unto all. And that means that this section is just as much for us as it was for Emma. But I will also say this for every boy that is listening: you help the girls in your life discover this, and you encourage them and you empower them, because Talon's right. There are moments when we will question and we will wonder, and we will step into church buildings saying, I don't know where I belong here, and I don't know what my purpose is, and I'm still trying to figure that out. And I am who I am because of God and women who have paved the way before me. But I could not be here had it not been for the encouragement of friends like you guys. That's just simply true. And I think it's far too often that boys say, this isn't my job. And yeah, maybe it's not your job to tell a woman what her role is, but maybe it is your job to encourage her and to support her and to empower her in her journey. You can do that. And the truth is that while a girl is discovering her role and her privilege and her potential that she can discover in the kingdom of God, that journey could look messy. But I am confident that our heavenly parents are right there next to us while we do it, eager for us to see all that is in store for us.
He will be there with me always. His spirit he will send on my left and on my right. He will meet me where I stand. His face will shine upon me. He has promised me his peace. He is for my good forever, and I will be redeemed. I will worship him for as long as I live. Give all glory to the Holy One, whose promises are sure. I will worship him forevermore. I will worship him forevermore.
See you next week.